everybody, it's Lori again and welcome back to my kitchen. Today the subject is going to be eggs. Now I know that we have all had the experience that when you try sometimes to hard boil eggs, the little buggers just don't want to peel right. And there's a whole bunch of different tricks out there, to boil the water first and then submerge your eggs in it. I think I've seen things with adding baking soda at the end of the boiling process. But what I want to share today is steaming eggs to hard boil them. Now you can't get any fresher than the eggs that we have because we have our own hens, and so they've literally just been laid. Now if you're familiar with farm fresh eggs are the worst egg to peel. They are just so fresh that the membrane on the inside of the egg just doesn't want to let go, and they just don't want to peel. And so if you hard boil farm fresh eggs, as you're peeling them, most of the time chunks of the egg come off with the shell, and it's just really frustrated. And then you're left with ugly eggs. If you're gonna, let's say you want to make some pickled eggs or some deviled eggs, it's always nice to have those eggs in one whole piece without chunks missing out of them so that they look nice. But anyway, so you can't get any harder to peel than farm fresh eggs. Now this works with any eggs. I know that you've all probably heard the old trick of, if you purchase store-bought eggs, you should wait and age them in your refrigerator for 2 weeks. And that's true. It does make them easier to peel. The reason why aged eggs peel better is because evaporation occurs. Now we know that eggshells are porous, okay, meaning air and germs can be passed through into the egg, and air can be passed out through the shell of the egg. And so being that eggs are porous, aging them allows them to evaporate a little bit. And what that does is then that pulls the egg away from the membrane on the inside of the shell. That thin little membrane, it's kind of like a little piece of, I don't know, for lack of a better description, kind of like a little piece of plastic that you sometimes have to peel off. Well, anyway, so aging your egg evaporates your egg. So the whole point of this is when you are boiling an egg in a traditional pot of boiling water where your egg is submerged underneath the surface of the water, evaporation really cannot occur out of the egg. In other words, nothing can evaporate out of the egg shell because it's surrounded by water. So I found a method of steam boiling my eggs, and I swear you guys, this is like the best thing, and you will have perfectly peeled eggs every time. So I'm gonna just tilt you down here a little bit, and I will show you what I have going on. I have my stovetop canner, and inside my canner I just have a couple of inches water, okay? Now your eggs are not going to be submerged underwater. They're going to be above the water level. So I just need a couple of inches in the bottom of the pan. What we're going to do is we're going to steam them for 15 minutes. So just make sure that you have a couple of inches, enough so that you don't run your canner dry. Now you can also do steaming eggs, making hard-boiled eggs by steaming them. You can also do that in a large stock pot. If you have a large stock pot with any sort of a lid that you can put on top, you can steam boil your eggs. So it doesn't have to be in a pressure canner. It can be in a stock pot with a lid, okay? So I just have a couple of inches of water in there. And now what I want to do is I want to keep those eggs up out of the water, okay? And so what I have is I have a metal colander, nothing that will melt. You don't want to put anything in there that's going to melt. So I don't suggest a plastic colander for this. But if you would also have like a steaming basket of some sort, go ahead and use that. But what I use is I use my colander. Now with my farm fresh eggs, I do wash them if I'm going to steam boil them, because it removes that natural coating that seals the egg, the bloom. It removes that, and so then it helps make it able for the egg to evaporate as it cooks and pull away from that membrane on the inside. So I do wash my eggs, but these are not even day old. Some of these were laid this morning, some were laid yesterday. So these are the freshest and most annoying things in the world to peel that you could ever hope to find. So I have my 2 inches of water in the bottom of my pot. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my colander down in my canner and lock on my lid. Now, I have my burner on high. I'm going to, just like if I was steam canning, I'm going to allow my canner to come up to a full vent, okay? Which means that my lid lock button, my lid lock pressure valve is going to pop up on its own. My emergency blow-off valve in the back of my canner, that will kind of come up in the upright position too. And only steam will be coming from my weight vent, okay? My weight pipe vent. So once it comes to a full vent, then I'm going to time for 15 minutes. And I'm just going to steam these eggs inside that canner for 15 minutes. Now, it would be the same thing if you did it inside of a stock pot. You lower your basket down in there with your couple inches of water, and you put that lid on. Am I on frame here? I guess I'll tilt up just a little bit. There. If you're doing it in your stock pot, you do the same thing. Lower that basket full of eggs down in, with your 2 inches of water, and then place your lid. Now, you'll hear that water boiling in your stock pot. Don't lift the lid and peek, okay? Once you hear that water boiling inside of your stock pot, that's when you start your timing process for 15 minutes. Don't ever peek. Leave that lid down on top of your stock pot the entire 15 minutes. I know you're going to be curious to see what's going on in there. There's nothing going on in there. There's just eggs sitting around with a bunch of boiling water. So you don't need to see what's going on in that pot. And you don't want to release that steam because then it slows down the cooking process. So stock pot, same thing. With the basket or your colander, you put your eggs down there with a couple inches of water, cap it up with your lid, and then turn your heat on high. Once you hear that water boiling, that's when you time for 15 minutes. For those of us that do have stovetop pressure canners, then we're just going to come to a full vent, and that's when we start timing 15 minutes also. Now, I thought that this would also be a really, really good thing for those of you that maybe have stovetop pressure canners, but you're still a little uncertain and afraid of using it. Well, we're not going to do anything with the pressure, the weight, or what is it called? The regulator. Presto calls this a regulator. Us old people, us old canners, we call these a weight. But anyway, you're never going to be placing that thing on there to steam boil your eggs, and so you're not dealing with pressure, and it kind of takes the fear away. This would be a great project for those that are starting out with your first time with your stovetop pressure canner to just kind of see how things work, okay? So you've got eggs in there that you're boiling, and you can kind of check and make sure that your blow-off emergency valve pops up on its own, and you can listen and see how that pressure gauge lid lock kind of pops up on its own too. So this is actually a really good thing for those who are wanting to learn how to pressure can, but you're afraid of your pressure canner yet. This would be the perfect thing to do. Let's boil some eggs together, and then you can go on to make egg salad or potato salad or deviled eggs, or you could even make pickled eggs, because pickled eggs, when you are canning pickled eggs and making them shelf stable, there is no pressure canning involved. It is a simple water bath, okay? At the end, you just water bath them to seal them. But anyway, that's not the subject today. The subject is, how do you make easy peeling eggs? And I swear this is the best method ever. So I'm going to let my canner come up to a vent, and then I will come back and I'll show you what a full vent means, and then we'll let them cook for 15 minutes. So I'll be back in just a few. All right, everybody, my canner is almost at a vent, okay? At this point in time, you can see that steam is coming out. Now this, of course, is just for those that are new to using their pressure canner. You can see steam is coming out of the weight pipe, and there's also some steam coming out of what is the pressure valve and the lid lock button. Now in the back, you can see that my emergency blow-off tab has popped up on its own. If that was not popping up properly, I'd have steam escaping from that too. You don't want steam escaping from that little guy back there, okay? He should be popped up just by the steam pushing it up, that'll pop up on its own. And this will pop up on its own also, all right? Now, it's not unusual to get a little bit of pooling of water on top of this, pressure vent lid lock button. What I do is if there is water that's pooling, then I will just take a doubled over rag, and now be very careful because I don't want you to get burnt. It's extremely hot, and of course there's steam involved. And so then what I do is I just kind of wipe off all of that water that is pooled on top of that button, and it will pop right up on its own, okay? See how it's popped up there? There's no more steam escaping anymore. It's popped up on its own. So now the only place that I have steam coming out is from my weight vent pipe, okay? Now on my gas stove, I can go down to medium heat and it will just maintain that nice steam for as long as I need it to. And so you will have to figure out on your stoves what works, but you want that that pressure valve lid lock button, you want that to remain in the upright position at all times. You only want steam coming from that weight pipe, okay? So this is the point in time that now it's considered a full vent, and since we are steam boiling eggs, I'm going to time it for 15 minutes. All right, so I'm just going to let them do their thing, and we'll come back in 15 minutes. All right, guys, so I am almost at the end of my 15-minute steam boil. There is my buzzer. So I'm going to turn my timer off, and now all I'm going to do is turn the heat off. Whether you're using a stovetop PC to steam boil these, or if you're using a stock pot with a lid, just simply turn the heat off. Now, with your canners, if you're a first timer, when you turn, you're not under pressure at all, you never place that weight. As it cools, this emergency blow-off valve is going to go back down, and this pressure valve lid lock will drop down on its own, okay? And it doesn't take very long if you're only steam canning, or like we're doing today, steam boiling eggs. Just takes a couple of minutes and it will drop down on its own. But in either case, when I am steam boiling eggs, there it just dropped down. I don't know if the camera caught the noise or not, but the pressure valve lid lock button dropped down on its own because I turned the heat off and there's no longer enough steam inside of the pot to keep pressing it up. And my emergency blow-off button went down on its own also. But what I do at this point in time, whether it's in my stovetop PC or whether it's a stock pot with a lid, I just turn the heat off and I leave them for approximately another 5 minutes undisturbed. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. All right, guys, it's been approximately 5 minutes. Now, since this is not a canning project, this is just steam boiling eggs. I don't have to worry about like the siphoning issues that you can have with jars. And so I don't have to worry about the cool down process quite as much. But I do wait about 5 minutes to open my canner. Now, you notice that I have hot pads on. And the reason for that is that you're going to have to remove that hot colander or basket full of eggs, okay? So be careful and open that lid, of course, away from you. We all know what the rules of safety are in the kitchen, right? And I see I did have an egg kind of burst a little bit, which, by the way, I steam boiled 40 eggs today. So 3 dozen is 36, and then I boiled just a few extras just in case I want to go on to pickle them. I can have extras in case I have an egg that doesn't come out perfect or whatever. I just have a few extra in there. So this 15-minute steam boiling was 3 dozen plus a few extra today. So all you're going to do is you're going to, with your oven mitts on, because everything is extremely hot, you're just going to lift that basket out of your pot or your canner. And then you're going to go and put them into a cold sink of water. So I'm going to meet you back over at the sink, and I'll show you how I put them in the cold water. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, so these are hot out of their steam boiling, either in the canner or in a stock pot. And I just took them out, and now all I'm going to do is I have just cold water from the tap. And I'm just going to go ahead and put my boiled eggs into the cold water, okay? This kind of shocks your eggs, and it's another thing that kind of helps them to, it helps them. I've got one that kind of bursted open and it's making me laugh. We'll just set that guy aside. And that's one of those things that can happen. But anyway, so all I do is I just put them into cold water. And now I will show you where the real magic starts. Now, I don't even really wait for these to completely cool off. All I do is I start cracking and peeling my eggs. And I'll put my peels, actually I'll just set this in here just so that it's all on camera so you can see how easy this is. Now remember that these are absolutely farm fresh. These are they were laid yesterday and today, all right? Look at this beautiful egg, and it almost popped right out of the shell. I didn't prepare pans, so I'm playing dish Jenga on the other side of my sink here. I have all my clean dishes just kind of stacked up all over. So that's another thing. This is a real working kitchen, guys. I don't have perfection all the time. So I'll peel a couple more of these for you. And like I said, I don't even wait for them to completely cool off. I start peeling as soon as they are just cool enough for me to be able to handle. Look at that, just whole shell, just right off that egg. Perfect boiled eggs every single time, and so easy to peel. No bits of egg are trying to come off with that shell and that membrane. Absolutely one solid piece, no damaged egg. Look at that, guys. Just peels right off. Beautiful. I'll do one more. It's almost like OCD. It makes peeling eggs fun. I mean, this is one of those tasks that most of us just hate in the kitchen. And this method, seriously, almost makes it fun. Look at that. I can get, let's see if I can do it. I got the entire eggshell off in one piece. See that? That's how easy it is. So I swear by this method. Seriously, I do. All right, so at this point in time, you have these beautiful, hard-boiled, beautifully peeled without any chunks of anything missing. You can go on to just, eat them as hard-boiled eggs or make egg salad sandwiches, deviled eggs with them, potato salad with them, or you could go on to make pickled eggs, which I very often do. Now, another thing that I will go ahead and I will show you is I will show you what the yolk looks like. I'll just bust this open with my finger. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful yolk. No terrible green or anything because it's not overcooked. All right? So there it is, guys. Proof is in the pudding. I swear this The steam boiling method is absolutely fantastic. This is what I use for all of my boiled egg needs, and I hope that you found it useful and you find it beneficial in your kitchen too. Let me see if I can get into the frame here. All right, so it might not have been canning related today, but it could be considered prep work to canning if you go on to make pickled eggs. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the information. God bless everybody and happy canning.